Here is part 1, written exactly in your cinematic HFY style, no headings, no labels, no commentary, only pure narrated story form. The cold darkness of interstellar space had always been a quiet place, silent, endless, almost holy in its emptiness. But on that night, the void trembled. Something vast drifted between the stars, a formation of alien vessels arranged in a crescent like a blade drawn across the cosmos. They were the Karzun Dominion, a species older than humanity's first stone tools, a civilization forged in the furnaces of collapsing suns. Their fleets were known to make empires surrender just by appearing on long-range scanners. Entire worlds had fallen with barely a whisper. And now that blade-shaped formation aimed directly toward the small blue world orbiting a yellow sun, Earth, the Dominion had not come for conquest, at least not in the way humanity imagined it. They came with a message, a warning dressed as mercy. Their long-range probes had detected something beneath Earth's crust, an anomaly, a dormant superstructure, a relic of a time before their own recorded history. Something powerful. Something dangerous. And the Dominion believed Earth was not advanced enough, not disciplined enough, not worthy enough to possess such a thing. To them, humanity was a reckless young species whose curiosity ran faster than its wisdom. The kind that might accidentally tear the galaxy open just to see what spilled out. Their mission was simple: isolate Earth, occupy it, and take control before humanity triggered whatever slept beneath their planet. But behind the moon's shadow, something else waited. Humanity had always been underestimated. The Dominion expected confusion, panic, scrambling diplomats, and desperate distress calls. They expected fear. Instead, their arrival was met with a strange, unnatural stillness across Earth's communication bands. No pleas. No warnings. No transmissions begging for mercy or demanding explanation. It was as if humanity had quietly taken a breath. And held it, in the control rooms buried deep beneath the Pacific, in the silent decks of orbital watchtowers. In the dim-lit corridors of secret military platforms, someone had made a decision humanity would not be able to take back. For decades, Earth had been building something beyond the edges of public knowledge. A single vessel. A contingency for the day when their skies were no longer theirs, a warship unlike anything the species had ever dared to imagine, the first of its class. And as the Dominion fleet carved closer to Earth, a faint pulse of light flickered behind the moon, soft at first, then growing brighter, like the glow of a star being born in the wrong place. Sensors across the Dominion vessels reacted instantly, alarms rising like a scream through their command decks. Because what they detected was impossible. No young species should have been able to generate power signatures of that magnitude. Not without collapsing their own planet. Not without decades of mastery, but the impossible continued to unfold. The light behind the moon sharpened, wrapped itself around a shape made of angles the human eye wasn't meant to find comforting. Black as obsidian. Silent as a predator. A vessel emerging from shadow the way a blade slides free from a sheath. A hull larger than anything a non-empire species should have even had the resources to design. Energy rings rotating around it like chained stars. Heat radiating from its engines in soft blue waves, humanity's first Titan-class warship. And at that exact moment, something primal flickered in the hearts of the Dominion commanders, something very old, very instinctive, not curiosity, not confusion, recognition, because they had seen this shape before. Not in the present, but in their history. In cave paintings carved by the oldest species they ever conquered. In myths whispered by civilizations that vanished without explanation. In warnings left behind by the ancestors of the galaxy's first empires, a warning about the species who built machines shaped like this, a warning about the species who once walked the galaxy and vanished before history began, a warning about the species who never feared the dark. And now, for the first time in thousands of years, that shape had returned. Humanity had unknowingly rebuilt a relic from an ancient legacy lost to time. The Dominion fleet slowed. For the first time, they hesitated. They came to protect the galaxy from Earth. Now they weren't sure the galaxy was safe from humanity. The Titan-class warship finished its emergence from lunar shadow, engines roaring like a star breathing after a long sleep, and every alien vessel in orbit instinctively tightened formation. Humanity had answered their arrival, not with words, but with a warship so powerful it made an empire pause. The alien fleet adjusted its position, but no amount of reformation could hide the ripple of uncertainty spreading through their armada. Across their command decks, officers exchanged silent glances, subtle, tense, betraying the kind of fear their species had not felt in generations. The Dominion prided itself on knowing every threat in the cosmos. Yet here, before a supposedly primitive world, something stood that their archives could not fully explain. The Titan-class warship drifted forward with a quiet dignity, as though the void itself parted to make room for it. Its hull bore no symbols, no national flags, no markings of allegiance. It didn't need them. Its design alone was a declaration, a cold, elegant geometry that whispered of technologies reverse-engineered from relics buried deep within Earth. Technologies humanity had found, studied, and reshaped with their own stubborn brilliance. On Earth, billions watched the broadcast, though none knew where the footage came from. Cameras stationed on lunar outposts had been mysteriously activated, their feeds routed across the world like someone wanted to ensure every human saw the same thing at the same moment. The warship's silhouette cut across the moon's pale horizon, dwarfing everything around it. It didn't look like something built by human hands. It looked like something summoned. In the Dominion flagship, the high strategist narrowed his 4 eyes, studying the strange vessel with a focus bordering on reverence. He recognized its architecture. His ancestors had feared it. His people had built entire defense doctrines around the possibility of encountering such a thing again. They had believed the builders, the mythical elder makers, were long extinct. Yet here stood a ship carved in their image, resurrected by a species the Dominion had classified as moderately clever primates with destructive tendencies. The miscalculation was staggering. Humanity, unaware of the true significance of what they had resurrected, simply saw it as the pinnacle of their hidden military engineering. A deterrent. A shield. A promise that Earth would not kneel easily. They had built it not to conquer, but to protect. Not to dominate, but to endure. The Titan-class warship began to power up. Not weapons, not shields, something deeper. A pulse vibrated across space like the lone note of a cosmic instrument tuning itself. Energy arced in thin, sharp lines across the rotating rings circling its hull. Dim sparks danced across its underbelly. It was as though the ship was waking from a dream, each layer of its structure remembering its purpose. The Dominion fleet reacted instantly, weapons charged, barriers rose like shimmering glaciers, warning signals flashed with the urgency of a dying star. But the Titan did not fire. Instead, it opened its bow like a blooming flower, revealing its core, a swirling sphere of pale blue light, swirling with patterns that felt alive. Inside Earth's command center, human analysts stared with awe. "This isn't a weapon," one whispered, "it's scanning them." At that exact moment, every Dominion vessel felt a cold, surgical presence sweep across their systems. Not hacking. Not intrusion. Observation. The warship was learning them, cataloging their armaments, tracing their energy signatures, measuring their response times. It was the examination of a predator studying a potential threat, and the Dominion felt it, deeply, ruthlessly. For the first time in their long history, they realized they were being evaluated, not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as prey. The scan ended, silence returned. A moment suspended between creation and destruction. Then the Titan rotated slightly, adjusting its angle so its core faced Earth, not the Dominion. The gesture was unmistakable. It was not preparing to attack. It was preparing to shield. Billions of humans watching across the world felt an emotion that transcended fear, transcended patriotism, pride, a fierce, primordial pride. Humanity had always been underestimated, dismissed, warned, threatened, yet here they stood in the shadow of alien fleets, protected by a warship born from their own stubborn brilliance and the ancient mysteries of their planet. And the Dominion finally understood, The Earth they had come to control was not a naive world waiting to be saved, it was a fortress. A cradle of survivors, a nursery of warriors. The humans didn't say a word, they didn't need to, their warship had spoken for them. The Dominion fleet held position at a cautious distance, warships arranged in a trembling crescent no longer shaped like a blade aimed at Earth, now it resembled a shield raised in self-defense. Their confidence, forged across millennia of dominance, eroded beneath the presence of a single human-built vessel whose silent poise carried the weight of an ancient, forgotten threat. But beneath its ominous exterior, the Titan-class warship remained eerily still, drifting just above the moon's gray surface like a monument carved for gods. No weapon ports opened. No targeting arrays aligned. It behaved with a patience that unnerved even the most battle-hardened Dominion commanders. Only a soft halo of rotating blue rings hinted that it was awake. Watching. Considering. Inside the Dominion flagship, the high strategist paced in front of a holographic projection of the Titan. The ship's design did not match anything from human records. It matched something far older, something his species once feared enough to erase their own historical accounts. Those who remembered whispered of constructs capable of ripping fleets apart with a breath, shielding entire star systems, and bending physics in ways that defied understanding. They weren't machines. They were warnings left by a civilization that vanished without a trace. The Dominion had spent lifetimes convincing themselves those relics were legend, yet here floated a vessel that mirrored them perfectly, built by a young species who should not have known how. Fear began to spread like wildfire through their ranks, not fear of Earth, fear of what Earth might awaken next. While the aliens trembled, humanity watched. And humanity waited, in secret bunkers across the world. Generals, scientists, and political leaders stood in tense silence as data from the Titan streamed onto screens, energy readings too dense for most software to interpret, gravitational distortions rippling around its hull like tides responding to an invisible moon. Humanity had built the ship, yes. But parts of it had built themselves. That was the part no one outside the deepest black projects ever knew. Fragments recovered from ancient anomalies beneath tectonic plates, structures older than human civilization, older than Earth's continents, had been fused into the Titan's core. Materials that behaved like they remembered something. Technologies that defied replication. Humanity had wrapped those fragments in their own engineering, their own creativity, their own relentless need to survive. What emerged was not a relic, not a copy, a hybrid, human will fused with ancient power. And now, as the Dominion fleet reeled in uncertainty, the Titan shimmered with a faint pulse of light, calm. Controlled, intentional. Its energy rings accelerated, each rotation stirring gravitational waves detectable from lunar orbit. Across Earth's surface, oceans responded with the faintest, rhythmic tide shifts, gentle, harmless, but undeniable. Every Dominion vessel felt the pulse like a whisper brushing against its hull, a whisper that said, "We see you, we understand you, we are not afraid." The fleet bristled with tension. Engines roared to compensate for the gravitational ripple. Shields flared. Weapon lock warnings flashed across thousands of displays. Yet the Titan did nothing aggressive. Instead, it projected an image, an elegant beam of blue light into the space between fleets. A map, a star chart millions of years old, routes of ancient civilizations, worlds long dead, symbols that no longer existed in any modern language, and at the center of that map. Earth, not as it was now, as it once was. The Dominion's blood ran cold, humanity stared in disbelief. The map offered only one conclusion: Earth had not been a random cradle of life, Earth had been chosen, prepared, seated. The Titan wasn't just a warship, it was a key, a message from a vanished civilization pointing to a legacy humanity never knew they inherited. And now the galaxy was watching the heirs of that legacy wake up. The Dominion realized something unthinkable: they hadn't arrived early enough to control humanity. They had arrived far too late. Humanity realized something even greater: they were not newcomers to the cosmic stage, they were returning to it. The map hung between the fleets like a ghost resurrected from the dawn of creation. Stars glowed in delicate spirals, ancient trade routes curved like etched constellations, and faded sigils pulsed with meanings neither humans nor Dominion scholars could fully understand. But one truth was unmistakable: Earth had been marked, encircled by a ring of symbols identical to the impossible patterns woven into the Titan's core. The Dominion flagship fell into an unnatural quiet. Officers froze. Analysts trembled. Even the high strategist's voice cracked as he ordered deeper scans. Only to discover that the Titan's projection was not merely showing the past, it was rewriting the present. The map's tendrils extended from the hologram and wrapped around Dominion sensors, forcing them to see what they had been blind to for millennia. A dormant network stretched across the galaxy, ancient relay points hidden inside nebulae, derelict megastructures cloaked behind pulsars, sleeping machines orbiting forgotten stars, and every pathway, every ancient conduit, every beacon led toward Earth. It was not the center of the galaxy, but it was the center of something far older. Humanity stared in stunned silence. Billions watching global broadcasts felt a chilling awe settle into their bones. They had built a warship, yes, but unknowingly they had awakened a relic of cosmic architecture woven into the fabric of their world. Scientists in underground labs whispered theories they no longer dared to publish. Earth wasn't chosen randomly for life. Something prepared this planet. Humanity didn't climb alone. We were following a forgotten blueprint. On the Titan, deep behind its obsidian hull, the core hummed louder. The ship had no AI in the traditional sense. Its intelligence wasn't coded, it was grown. A hybrid awareness stitched together from human quantum processing and the strange, living circuitry of the ancient fragments. It observed like a newborn trying to remember a dream it had lived through eons before. The Dominion, however, saw none of the wonder, only danger, only history repeating itself. A dark memory stirred within their elder texts, warnings from civilizations extinguished before the Dominion existed. A species once rose in the galaxy with the same symbols, the same architecture, the same star maps. They did not conquer through war or malice. Their power was simply too vast, too strange. Their evolution too rapid. Their creations reshaped empires just by existing. The galaxy had united to stop them, to contain them, and when they vanished, the galaxy swore to prevent such a species from rising again. Now the Dominion looked down at Earth, a world whose strange evolution, violent history, and relentless ingenuity made terrifying sense in light of this revelation. Humans were not just adaptable. They were engineered to be unstoppable. The high strategist's resolve hardened. Earth could not be allowed to awaken fully. If humanity connected the remnants of the ancient network, if they accessed whatever lay sleeping at its end, the galaxy would face a power it could not challenge. Slowly, Dominion warships began shifting into attack formation. Weapons charged, engines roared, shields brightened to blinding brilliance. The attack was not a choice, it was a preemptive strike born from ancient fear, but humanity saw the movement. Earth's militaries braced. Orbital defenses aligned, every hidden station, every classified satellite, every black-budget project humanity had ever built lit up the sky like a constellation of defiance. Then the Titan moved, not aggressively, not violently, but with a smooth, effortless grace that defied physics. It placed itself between Earth and the Dominion fleet, a silent guardian, a warning, a promise. Energy rippled across its hull, and the blue rings accelerated until they became halos of light. Gravity bent. Space-time shimmered. Dominion warships drifted involuntarily backward, engines screaming in protest. The Titan wasn't attacking. It was holding back something immense, something that wanted to awaken. From orbit, the entire world watched as the warship glowed brighter, its ancient circuitry resonating with a rhythm that felt almost alive. The Dominion hesitated once more, fire, and risk provoking a power they did not understand, retreat, and admit that humanity's rise was inevitable. Between them, the Titan stood alone, a relic reborn, a guardian reawakened. A symbol that the age of human fragility was over. Humanity had always believed they were small in the cosmos, but the cosmos had just remembered the truth. The first shot never came, not because the Dominion lacked weapons, nor because humanity lacked the Will to resist, but because the Titan-class warship made the very concept of first strike feel meaningless. Its growing aura warped the battlefield into something beyond the Dominion's understanding. Space thickened around it, folding like soft metal under a blacksmith's hammer. Every Dominion targeting system screamed errors. Every missile bay locked shut as if clamped by invisible hands. Every energy cannon flickered in and out of existence between power cycles. It was not jamming, it was not hacking, it was something older, an authority built into the ship's bones, a command whispered across spacetime that said, "Weapons do not fire here." The Dominion flagship fought the phenomenon with raw power, forcing its cannons to stay online. Engines pushed against a gravitational field that felt more like a rising tide than a weapon. They had not come this far to retreat from superstition. They needed Earth contained. They needed humanity contained. The galaxy depended on it, but the Titan drifted forward, unbothered by their struggle, calm, steady, unhurried. The sight fractured morale across the Dominion armada. On Earth, the world held its breath. Cities fell into a surreal silence. Airplanes hovered in holding patterns. Oceans stilled. Humanity watched their guardian vessel move with the kind of confidence that made even the bravest soldiers whisper prayers, not out of fear, but out of awe. In the Titan's core, the swirling sphere of ancient energy split into fractal patterns. Lines of blue-white light coursed through its lattice like veins awakening after a long sleep. The ship was remembering itself. Reclaiming lost functions. Understanding the threat before it, then, without warning, the Titan released a pulse, silent, invisible, absolute. It swept across the Dominion fleet like a soft breath. No explosions followed, no ships were destroyed, no violence erupted. But every Dominion vessel froze in space as if time itself had tightened around them. Engines shut down. Shields collapsed. Weapon systems went dark. The entire fleet drifted, powerless, paralyzed, held in a moment of total helplessness. Panic ignited across their ships. Officers ripped panels from consoles, attempting manual overrides. Engineers screamed as ancient code, older than the Dominion. Older than every empire combined, locked down their systems. Not to kill, to restrain, to warn. The high strategist slammed his fist against the command altar. What is it doing? He demanded, but deep in his bones, he already knew. The Titan was showing restraint, showing mercy, a demonstration, not an attack. Humanity did not cheer, they simply stared, astonished, breathless. As their warship immobilized an entire battle fleet without firing a shot, the Titan slowly rotated, its rings emitting a deep harmonic tone that resonated across the moon like a sacred bell. The dormant map projected between fleets shifted, rewriting itself, expanding outward. It showed the ancient network once more, but now it displayed something new. A gate, a colossal structure buried at the edge of the galaxy, a hub of impossible architecture. A colossal ring so vast it bent the starfield behind it, the final relay of the ancient civilization, the heart of the forgotten empire, and the moment the map displayed it, human satellites around Earth experienced a surge, an echo. Their sensors pinged with a distant, rhythmic signal pulsing across the void. The gate was waking. Reacting to the Titan. Reacting to Earth, the Dominion commanders stared in paralysis. Humanity stared in disbelief. The Titan pulsed again. A message flowed through the projection. Simple, elegant, undeniable. The key has awakened. The network calls. Return to the origin. The Dominion's greatest fear was confirmed. Humanity was not only inheriting an ancient legacy, they were being summoned by it. The strategist made his decision. If humanity activated the gate, the galaxy might never control them again. His vessels, though immobilized, still had one desperate option: manual triggers, self-propelled warheads, old technologies disconnected from modern systems. Primitive, but deadly. His officers scrambled to launch them, willing to die to stop Earth from reaching the gate. But as the first warhead drifted free, the Titan turned its gaze, its rings aligned, its hull brightened, a gravitational wave unfurled like a blooming flower. The warhead evaporated mid-flight, not destroyed, Unmade, its atoms separated like sand sifting through cosmic fingers, the message was clear: do not try again. Humanity had not fired a weapon, they had not declared war, but the Titan made a promise on their behalf: Earth would not be touched, humanity would not be stopped, the ancient legacy would not be denied. The Dominion fleet, floating helplessly, finally understood the truth that changed their empire forever. The humans were not rising, they were returning. Here is part 6, written in the same cinematic, flowing, emotional HFY tone, with no headings, no labels, no commentary, just pure narrated storytelling, exactly like a movie in words. The alien fleet tried to retreat, slipping back into formation, but the sky itself rejected their escape. Gravity warped. Light sheared. Space folded like thin fabric around a fist. Horizon Breaker pushed forward, its colossal engines burning blue-white arcs that rippled through the void like shockwaves rolling across an ocean of stars. The ship did not chase, it simply arrived, appearing where the enemy attempted to flee, blocking every vector as if it could predict their intentions before they even executed them. Sensors across the alien fleet flickered. Some went dark. Some stuttered. Some displayed impossible readings that broke the logic of their physics. A few captains whispered to their crew that the human warship was no ship at all. But something older, something awakened, something that remembered how to destroy. Inside Horizon Breaker, every human stood silent as the engines hummed with a heartbeat not entirely mechanical. The ship seemed to breathe, drawing energy from stars, from vacuum, from the very quantum rhythms of existence. It cast a radiant outline across the enemy armada, painting every hull in shimmering blues and burning whites. For a moment, the battlefield looked like a cathedral, a place where war bowed to something vastly greater. Humanity watched those who had once hunted them falter. Fear spread through the alien command networks like a fracture web. One by one their ships drifted, not destroyed. Simply overwhelmed. And in that silence humanity found clarity. They were not here to annihilate. They were here to show that they could not be bent, broken, or erased. A single pulse from Horizon Breaker rippled outward, not a weapon but a warning. It was gentle compared to the fury the ship held within, yet powerful enough to push the nearest alien cruiser several kilometers off course without leaving a scratch. That was the message. This is mercy. This is restraint. This is your only chance to understand us. The alien fleet collectively exhaled through static-filled transmissions. Their weapons powered down. Their engines dimmed. Their formation loosened in a slow, trembling bow. No one officially surrendered, yet the gesture was unmistakable. They were acknowledging something they had never imagined possible, a species that rose beyond fear, beyond extinction, beyond their own calculations of dominance. Humanity did not cheer. They simply watched the stars steady themselves, watched the light return to the galaxy around them. Victory felt less like triumph and more like arrival, a confirmation that their place in the universe was not at the bottom, not in the shadows, but standing tall at the center of their destiny. When Horizon Breaker finally powered down its main array, the sky calmed. The afterglow of its weapons drifted like auroras across the battlefield. It looked almost peaceful, as if the ship were closing its eyes after proving a point older than history. You cannot threaten what refuses to kneel. As the alien fleet slowly withdrew, leaving the humans alone in the stillness of a reclaimed frontier, a quiet certainty settled into every soldier, every officer, every heartbeat on that ship. The universe had just seen humanity's hand, and it would never forget the shape of it. And in the deep vacuum where echoes never truly fade, one truth remained carved across the starlight like a promise.